I got started with cover crops was back in 2007, and it couldn't have worked more perfectly. This is where I want to be. This is how we can make a difference in our soils.
We've always been a farm that has incorporated cover crop into our farming. I think a shift in our focus has just been an intensive focus on cover cropping. The soils that are predominant here are a sandy loam soil. So as far as moisture in our sands, that's always an issue when you get to, July and August. If you can make it through July and August, you got it made. If you cover it with rolled down cover crop, it's protecting that soil, and it's definitely lessening that effect.
Our soil here is very heavy. So water management's probably the biggest challenge that we have. We definitely see an advantage to having our soil completely canopied with cover crop. The veg becomes such a thick mat in the spring, and it is completely dark, and it traps every bit of moisture that's in there.
The biggest change in any one field we've found is a 40-acre field back in the woods. It used to, once it started getting a little bit dry, the ground would crack, and it just didn't hold moisture, and if it did hold it, it wouldn't give it to the plant. The rotations and this cover crop have made it a different soil. Today, the soil is much browner. It's not as red. Soil penetration is much easier. Digging and looking at roots, it's much more mellow, down to a foot than it used to be. It survives a week or two of dry weather now when it did not used to. It's gone from a soil productivity 4 to a soil productivity group 2 now in yield potential.
When it comes to a drought, you want as much coverage as you can get on the soil. And you know what you don't see is a lot of weeds because there's no room for them.
When we're establishing a thick cover crop and we're able to roll it down and produce a healthy mat that seals up the soil, there is weed suppression that we get from that.
I did get a master's degree in weed science, so my philosophy is if you can grow it, I can kill it. With these cover crops, there's less weeds to grow.
Another aspect of targeting cover crops for specific purposes would be reducing input costs. My thoughts are I should be able to reduce at least 1 herbicide pass and maybe 2 in a soybean rotation. This year I've got as healthy a stand in some rye fields as I've ever had.
When I'm out there in cover crops this high on my hands and knees taking biomass samples, you got to think about it. It's 3 to 4 inches of just a carpet. There's no weeds coming through there. We've been putting down a mixture of residual herbicides, but we have cut back on the amount of residuals we're using. And it just feels right.
Cover crops are so much bigger than just a single year investment. As you get down and you look at the soil, you look at the roots in there, you look at the life that's in the ground, anything that you can do, whether it was a huge success or a marginal success, is still going to add benefit to your soil.
So there's definitely been benefits to our own farm here that we're proud of.